I am nerding out so hard right now. This is like a place I never thought I would be. I know most of us only think of Troy from the Iliad and the movie, but this city itself existed for 2,500 years. There's 12 different Troys, right? All built on top of each other, but before Mycenae was Mycenae, before there was Sparta, before there was Athens, Troy existed on the Anatolian Peninsula in Asia Minor. You know, it's an amazing site. It's huge, it's massive, but it's so mysterious because the Germans who had control of it in the early 1800s, they just thought the whole thing itself was Troy. A lot of the things they just kind of destroyed or kind of cast aside as not being important, but I mean the archaeological layers of this thing is so complex that I mean there's just so much lost history here. You know, the Iliad happened in Troy 7, but like I said, there's 12 Troys, so it's just so much lost history. Really nerding out over this shit. This right here is the south gate, so this field would have been cleared out, and this would have been your area where the big battle happened. Hector and Achilles would win at it, and of course Achilles winning. Odeon. This place they thought was lost until the late 1800s. You know, Troy is so deep into Western civilization's legends because of the Iliad, but to be honest, like the city of Troy was considered a myth until it was found in the 1800s. You know, excavations here, because like I said, 2,500 years. City upon city upon city being built. I mean, archaeology is just never ending here, really. But absolutely exemplary. Like I said, this is in the middle of nowhere, though. 5-6 hours from Istanbul. From Izmir, 4 hours. So, you want to come out here, you really have to want to come out here. Lower city of Troy. It was used by the Romans until the 1st century AD by Vespasian. But I don't know at what point this place was lost. I guess probably after the fall of the Roman Empire. This would have all been cleared out. And on these raised mounds here, you can imagine towers up there to really give you that real good view, and it goes all the way around. They don't really show, but these long rows here, these rocks, they would have been pretty big walls, especially for the time, because we're talking, you know, 1500 BC, 1000 BC. So you know, the climb up this hill, which it would have been walled the whole way up. It would have been a hell of a fight to get up here. And then you have the main walls and the fortifications. Taking on this place wouldn't have been easy at all. I mean, you think that the terrain's fairly easy, and it is. You know, it's flat until you get to here. But I mean, that's like all the hill forts in Great Britain. You know, nice rolling terrain, and then you have these big hills with fortifications on top. Definitely wouldn't have been easy go. I think these terraced walls, trying to fight up these things would be hell. You can see it's just tier after tier. Keeps going up. Archaeologists doing archaeology things. Getting after it. Oh, I'm such a nerd, I love this. Oh yeah. Positive side, the place has a hell of a breeze, which is lovely. But yeah, oh, look at this. You know, this place has been sieged so many times, and the deeper you go in the inside, the older it gets. But you know, you fight over all that. Then you go down here, then you have more battlements, and these are the ruins. Remember, they'd be so much taller. Because I mean, these mounds over here, you know, they built on top of all these, so another 20-30 feet up. You look at it, like 60-foot walls, which would be, you know, in times where all you had was really like hooks and ropes and ladders. You know, fighting off arrows and spears. And this place like this, they have cisterns. You know, they choose these places wisely. So they have cisterns, so they have fresh water inside. They'll poison the water outside. It's nothing but farmland around it, so their food stores would be absolutely almost inexhaustible, especially if you're like Greeks and you've traveled across the Aegean to get here, you know, your supplies would be so limited. So I guess the water levels used to be a lot higher in this area, but you can actually see in the distance over there, but that's the sea. And of course it goes all the way around a little bit further off, but this entire lowlands here, I guess, used to be flooded. So the beaches of Troy used to be much closer, but about that way, like an hour, is the battlefield of Gallipoli from World War I, where the Turks fought the Anzacs, the Australians. So I mean, this place is just, you know, for millennia has been warfare. But I mean, if you're here long enough, you understand. The fertile lands of this place are just something worth fighting for, especially in a time before mass agriculture. I mean, everything here absolutely thrives. Something like this, you can see that the different Roman numerals, they correspond to the different time periods in the construction and the existence of Troy. You're going from 2 all the way up to 6. It's quite impressive, especially if you look at the terrain, because it's just rock wall is built into the soft sand, and you do have 9 up there. I mean, but I have to say, as someone who goes to a lot of ancient cities, this place is absolutely massive. I mean, because this would have been the same era as Knossos in Crete, the head of the Minoan Empire, and that place is absolutely tiny compared to this. Absolutely tiny. But then again, it didn't last as long in history, so it wasn't built, I guess, as extensively. But still, it's absolutely massive. I've been walking for a while, and you know, even the existing structures are still big. So you really have to use your imagination to think just how grand the structures all this would have been. So here, of course, was the palace. Of course, if you're talking about the Iliad, this is where Priam would have died. But you look at the state of the soil, I mean, it just looks like it's so delicate. I mean, that's one of the theories of why this place had to be built upon so many times, because this place is so prone to earthquakes, this entire region. So, you know, the devastation wrought by the gods would have been like something to really really powerful, especially in this time. And building on this soil, I mean, it would have been absolutely devastating anytime you would have had any significant earthquake. This is one of the oldest parts of the city of Troy. It's also near the highest part. It basically is. Well, this would have been fortifications and everything up here, right? Walls. But in here, this would have been the center of the city, right adjacent to the palace. And it goes back to 2300 BC, Troy 2 and 3. So it would have been a very sacred place. And like I said, it's adjacent to the palace itself. So any big functions, any big, you know, ceremonies, even today, if you're in Athens, the Megaron is where they have, you know, the famous orchestras and plays, and it's the height of culture being displayed and exhibited, you know, for the higher classes. So this is an incredibly important place, especially in the days of Troy. And the citadel wall here is really one of the most ancient parts, going back to 2500 BC. Absolutely stunning. And you know, just built lower circles and lower circles and lower circles, making it more complicated and making it more intricate of a design of a city. And it's really fascinating to be here. This is one of the most as old as it is one of the most well preserved ancient palaces or ancient cities that I've been to. It's a real gift to be here. And this here would have been Troy 1. This is kind of where it all began. The foundation of the city. It's the highest point on the hill. As you can see, it's an absolutely commanding view of the terrain. But this right here, this dates back 3000 BC. No, this is ancient Egypt we're talking about. This is the Phoenicians we're talking about. This is truly ancient stuff. I mean, this is, especially in this area, this is where it all began with civilization. As much as Troy is tied into the legends that we grew up on, and kind of it builds the archetype, helps to build the archetype of the hero. You know, we look at Hector, we look at Achilles, and they're so tied into pop culture even today. You know, thousands of years later, to stand here in this time, you really feel the myths come to life. It's hard to really explain the feeling you can get kind of standing in the same place where all these things really began or were inspired. Yeah, so, but this is the height of the palace. Down it goes. Until you've been to a few of these cities, you really can't appreciate the size of Troy. Destroyed, built again, destroyed, built again, improved upon each time, all the way until the Imperial Roman era. I mean, it's massive. It's massive. What a beautiful place. If you ever find yourself 6 hours outside of Istanbul and you're looking for a place to have a nice walk and enjoy some history, learn a little bit, I cannot put into words how much I would recommend coming and visiting ancient city of Troy in all its magnificence. Glorious and hallowed is the tale of Troy. Come see it for yourself. And this is the current reconstruction of the Trojan horse that's happening. I mean, they put windows on the side, so I feel like it would have been pretty obvious as what was going on, but you know, it's still really cool to see. I hope you guys learned something like I did, because what a hell of a place. So yeah, thanks everybody.